I was waiting 8 weeks for universal credit to come through, so I was quite on my knees.
And you had no food?
No food.
What, you mean your cupboards were bare?
Apart from tea bags, I had a cup of tea and toast.
And how many days did you go without eating properly?
I'd say about a week or so.
Okay, if you look at this, at Christmas time, this was absolutely overflowing. And we would thought, okay, fine, in terms of the demand we're going to be okay to sometime around about July. And the demand has absolutely gone through the roof.
In the last
3 to 4 months, we've gone exponential. It's gone up nearly 3 times.
Had to use this facility a couple of months ago because I was in desperate need, and then I decided to volunteer, and last week it really got to me, the people that really need it.
You've been here a number of times before. Have you ever seen the shelves so bare?
Not since the day I painted them, about 2.5, 3 years ago. And they filled up soon then, and I've been a couple of times, and where they've been, as Colin has said, they've been groaning, but now they're looking pretty empty. So
Jane and I decided to ask all our friends and family to do a mammoth donation this week.
There's more food going out of the door quicker than ever, and Hounslow FoodBox really needs support, either donations of food or donations of money, in order for them to be able to go and replenish the shelves.
Do you think the situation's getting desperate, Colin?
I think we're almost at the point where we're tipping over we won't be able to actually deliver the required amount of food that we need to give to people.
Never known it so bad, and the things that we were always really stocked up with, like baked beans, disappeared. We've just ploughed through them.
1 can of baked beans?
Well, look at the size of it.
Yeah.
Daft things like baked beans, which are a staple diet. We run out of baked beans. So sometimes we've had to do a cash round thing. Somebody send down and get some baked beans so we can actually give baked beans around. We tried to plan on what we thought the demand was going to be, and the demand has absolutely gone through the roof and off the shelves. We really, really, really need more help, more donations and more support.
What more can we do?
What more we can do? Well, you saw, for example, in there that those 2 people go out and collect stuff from their local estate. That is absolutely brilliant if people can do things like that.
What circumstances brought you here?
Becoming a widow and just being very depressed and stuff, so I'm actually on universal credit at the moment.
And I mean, I know that use of the food bank has, I think, tripled in the last year, but it's risen.
It's rising now.
Yeah,
yes.
and we're mid-May now.
We're mid-May now, and we went. If you come in earlier on, there was something like 14 bags ready to go out to people today.
Yeah.
That is far in excess of what we anticipated.
Why was there a delay like that?
Because it's new universal credit and it's all backdated between 6 and 12 weeks. So you're just borrowing and you can't get ahead.
Did you have to borrow money?
Yes, borrowed money from friends and family.
And have you managed to recover from that borrowing?
I'm just about back to normal now.
The surge is through a number of different changes happening.
And the most common change has been put onto universal credits. So I've spoken to a lot of people who are waiting for their benefits to come through. In the 6 weeks that can take, they get into debt.
And they're just getting nothing during those 6 weeks?
That's what I understand.
A mother and a young boy came in, and the boy had heard something about the food bank, and with his pocket money he got out and bought 10 chocolate teddy bears to give to the children.
Added to the distress of losing your husband,
Yes.
you've absolutely got no resources.
No, and because we'd never been on benefits before, I was quite happy, married, he paid for everything, I was a housewife, I didn't even know where to get help.
And then last week a mother came in and her son had heard about the food bank. What could he do? He went and sold his bike.
Goodness.
And gave his mother the money to go out and buy some food to bring in here.
So people think that using a food bank is sometimes the fault of the person who's there.
Yes.
But it's not.
No, it's just circumstances all round.
But we shouldn't need to have to give away free food to people who've got no money in the fifth, sixth biggest economy in the world. It's just appalling.
Did it open your eyes about what food
Totally. Totally.
Had you maybe
eyes.
got a slight prejudice against them, or?
Obviously, we all are judgmental at times, and it really taught me not to be.
Yeah.
To see families turn up here, you can see that they're down on their luck and they need food.
The holes in the net have suddenly got substantially wider.
They have. I mean, the safety net has more or less been pulled away for so many people.
People who should know about it don't recognise the level of that inequality.
I haven't got a clue. Not a clue. To have a bog standard decent hot meal, or wear the next packet of nappies, or whatever. What we take for granted, soap powder, anything.
And the problem is these are being designed by people who I think, frankly, are mendacious. I think it's just shocking that ministers, MPs, civil servants are making these changes almost deliberately to make the poor poorer. And if you look at the graphs, you know, average low-income family is losing £1,400 a year. Well, if you're on £9,000-10,000 a year, £1,400 is an awful lot of money. And some families are, you know, over £2,000 a year worse off. And you know, the system is designed for people to have no money week after week.
I know there's a belief that somehow in doing it you're changing behaviour.
But you're not.
You're not.
I've spoken to quite a number of mums who are not eating because the priority is to the children. So I always try and say, but you must look after yourself. But their priority is feeding the children, but they look really not well.
The darkest of thoughts, or?
Yes, I've been in that position too.
What,
So,
you're thinking about doing it all?
yes, I've been in that position before.
We're seeing mental health problems coming up all over the place now.
The stress involved with having to feed yourself and if you've got a family, your kids as well, is of course going to impact on your mental health. And that means you can't make decisions properly. You don't know where to turn for help.
No.
Quite apart from struggling to be able to even have the bus fare to go and get advice. And the other thing that really worries me is that the people who actually are referred to Hounslow FoodBox and do get help from you are the tip of the iceberg in Hounslow. And there must be thousands of families and thousands of individuals who don't get the support. Or
Came in with all this food this morning.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing.
Everything you bought, Jane?
The whole group of us, you get embarrassed to ask friends and family to keep helping you. So I ended up very depressed one day and went to the housing office. They gave me a voucher to come here, which was my absolute lifeline.
Sometimes I think that's the government seems to think that poor people are poor because of something they've done wrong. And I mean, you know, it wasn't Jane's fault that her husband died.
Worked my way from the debt that I was in, but using this, there must be untold people
Absolutely.
out there.
The whole system is designed to treat her like some kind of scrounger.
I know.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Absolutely appalling.
Yeah.
And I don't think most people realise, unless you are in the system, that the universal credit is designed to not pay you for some of the time from when you need it. So you can be, as you say, weeks if not months with no money at all, and when you do get it paid, you get only 4 weeks backdated. Built in a system, particularly for universal credit, where you can go weeks, sometimes even months, with no money at all while they assess your claim, and when your claim is paid, it's only backdated for 4 weeks. So there's built-in destitution. When they finally get the backdated payment, the first thing they do is to pay off those high interest loans to stop them getting any bigger.
Yes.
When the system expects them to pay their rent.
Yes.
Their rent arrears. So a lot of people are being evicted because of this. So the idea of the system was to help people. That's but it's designed by people who've never been in this situation themselves and probably have never met anybody in this situation.
No, and the thing is, I am absolute proof you can be living so comfortably and happily without a worry in the world, and something tragic happens, and your world just goes upside down.
Yeah, and it just makes you realise how many people are, quite close to that, and
an awful lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, for a lot of people I meet, they're already struggling on a day-to-day basis because their income, their earnings might be 3/4 of their earnings might be taken by rent if they're private sector tenants. So that's really, really tough already. And then something happens, they get their hours cut at work.
Yes.
They go on universal credit, and by then it's too late. By then they've already stacked up debts, and a lot of people are being evicted.
Yes.
And of course then they're back in the system,
Yes.
Homeless. Hounslow hasn't got enough housing. They might be in temporary accommodation. They might be in hostels. They'll certainly be in temporary accommodation. If they're not working locally, or if they've not got children at exam stage, they might be housed in Birmingham or wherever. But it's complex. It puts you at a disadvantage if you're a claimant, and it's designed to perpetuate poverty and debt, and that to me is criminal.
This donation is just from
That's fantastic.
your average working class people and pensioners, just giving a couple of pounds or literally going and getting a very small bag.
Jane and all of your friends, I would like to congratulate you and thank you for everything you've done to collect the money and go to the supermarket and buy all of this amazing food for Hounslow FoodBox. I've just been in where the shelves are of food. They're looking pretty empty at the moment. So what you've done it has made a massive difference, is a real help, is really generous. And you're ordinary local people,
Yes.
not with vast amounts of cash to spend, but a few pounds from everybody has managed to make a big difference to Hounslow FoodBox this week. And this is at a time when the demand for food parcels coming into the food box, the referrals coming into the food box, is shooting through the roof. So the food box needs more food than ever, and I just hope lots of other people can follow your example,
Me
Jane,
too.
and all of your friends, because
Thank
you know what food box has meant to you and to other people you've met. So I hope that in Hounslow we can all be this generous, because there are so many people who've been severely affected by the benefit cuts and have no money to buy food. 7 years ago, we didn't have food banks. We didn't have a food bank like this in Hounslow.
When you were serving as an MP, were you surprised at the level of inequality which you encountered in your constituency?
I am shocked at the levels of inequality in my constituency and across the country, and we're becoming a more and more unequal society. Surprised? No, because...
Has that inequality increased in your constituency?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, definitely.
How have you seen that
Well-
during your period as MP?
How have I seen it? I've seen it by more people coming through my advice surgery. I've seen it with more people raising the issues with me. I've seen, obviously, I'm aware of the greater use of Hounslow FoodBox and the other food banks. I've seen teachers telling me, particularly nursery teachers who do the home visits, saying that they've got children arriving at school hungry on a daily basis, children not being able to afford to buy shoes, their parents not being able to afford to buy shoes or coats, the increased use of charity shops for basics. And the churches and the other places of worship are increasingly being turned to by people who have no money to buy clothes or food or anything. Yeah.
About a year ago, it was around 15%. It's now 38% of people coming here because they've got problems with their benefits thing. Not that long ago, there was somebody who was discharged from hospital, and he'd been in there for about 6 months. So the hospital referred him to us because they can do so to get some food. A nurse there gave him the bus fare to come here. We gave him the bags of food, and he then went out, and one of our volunteers saw him. He didn't have the money to go home, so the volunteer actually took him home. When we got there, electricity had been turned off. So the tins of food that we'd been giving him, hoping he could cook, he couldn't cook. And then that volunteer then actually managed to get stuff for him and take it away.